Welcome, everyone, to the Humor in Chaos podcast. I am Sarah Howard Nelson, certified resilience life coach, certified art therapy practitioner. And if you or someone you know would love to be a guest on this podcast, please email me at humorinchaos@gmail.com. And what kind of guests am I looking for? I am looking for guests, women who have gone through life-altering circumstances, one or many, found the light at the end of the tunnel, even if they're still going through the circumstances or they've completely overcome them, and want to shine the light for another person, which gets into a little bit about what I want to talk about today. So today we are talking about blog post 13 in Humor and Chaos Searching for Joy book. Here it is. Blog post number 13 right here, ripple effects. And this chapter on ripple effects is really about, well, it goes back to my podcast from 2 weeks ago, which I was talking about the first law of thermodynamics, which is the conservation of energy. And you're like, what are you talking about physics for? So if you missed the last episode, please go back and listen to it. I talked about how energy transfers. It isn't, you can't make more of it. You can't destroy what there is of it. It transfers. It can transfer from one state to another. Like the typical scenario is throwing a ball, go for potential energy to kinetic energy and back again and back and forth. And I talk about 2 weeks ago, I talk about how, or actually I'm recording this on the same day, but they're being released 2 weeks apart. So I'm talking about how the importance of forgiveness is that you're actually taking negative energy and you're transferring it into positive energy. So go back and listen to that. So today I'm talking about the ripple effects. So you know what happens, right? You have a body of calm water, correct? And you take a pebble and you drop it into the water. Let's say you've got a calm, large pond. You drop a little pebble and you start to get these ripple effects that go out. And if you drop a huge boulder, you get big waves of ripple effects that go out. And if you're talking about the Pacific Ocean and you have an 8.2 earthquake, you've got tsunami waves of ripple effects that happened all across. That is very much the same when something has happened. And it can be a really good thing that has happened, or it can be a really bad thing that happened. Okay, so let's talk about a really good thing. When I first started walking, and I was recovering both from my back surgery and was finally in remission from lupus, and I was still figuring out that I was in remission from lupus because I didn't realize it right away. And my heartbreak was intense, and I was actively trying to change my state of mind, my state of being. And I began going out and walking. I had learned from my own life coach and other people who were dealing with similar heartbreak was to start making a positive impact with other people. And there wasn't a whole lot I could do because I was still recovering, in particular from the back surgery. So actually physically getting out was hard, but I could get out. And at this point, I was able to get out and walk. So I would go for walks out on the trails where other people were walking, and I just began by smiling at people, just smiling. And at first, people thought it was kind of weird, but I kept doing it. Every day that I would go out about the same time in the morning, and I would encounter the same people most of the time because I was taking the same walk, the same trails, and I would do it more and more. And then I would start to add a hello. And it began a ripple effect where at first people would smile back, and then they'd smile back and say hello. And then it actually got to the point where if I didn't smile at somebody, they would make a point of coming to me and smiling and saying hello. So it began this ripple effect. And what I didn't see, but I'm pretty sure happened, was it became a way of people started their days in a better state of mind, so that hopefully they took it with them into the rest of the community. That's really a spiritual ripple effect. Unfortunately, this can also go negatively. And one person is hurt or upset or whatever, and they're going around and they're taking that anger or that hurt out on other people. Road rage, for example, is a big problem, right? And if they're, driving wildly on the road, they're creating ripple effects that then these people get angry and then they take it out on other people and they take it out. So you get a negative ripple effect. This is especially true when a crime has happened. Okay. Out of the blue, somebody commits a violent crime onto somebody else. At the very center of that ripple effect is the victim of that crime. That boulder landed, boom, right on top of them in the water. And then the next round of ripples or waves is the people closest to that victim, and they're victimized too. And then as the waves go out, the ripple effect goes out, get people further and further out from that circle, but those people get hurt too. And so in reverse, in a negative, when somebody does a hugely wonderful thing, you get those positive ripple effects. Such as if we ever found a cure for cancer, that would be that kind of situation. That would be a huge ripple effect. But anyway, we're back on the negative. Now, so that's transfer of energy, right? Forgiveness is a way to stop and counter those ripple effects and send them back the other direction. So if you notice, like with tsunami waves, right? If you've watched the scientists talk about how tsunami waves happen from, you've got the earthquake that happens in one part of the Pacific Ocean, and the ripple effects come all the way across to the other side and hit the shores on the other side of really this Pacific Ocean is like a big bowl, right? And so it hits that wave, but then those waves come back in the other direction and they have the potential to kind of ricochet, right? They ricochet. Sound will ricochet off of things. Forgiveness can be like an emotional wall to ricochet those feelings back, but change them from negative to positive. Now, when the person who did the hurt accepts that energy transfer and accepts that forgiveness, wonderful things can happen. The kinetic energy of the damaging waves can go back to the potential energy of smooth surface. That's if they accept the forgiveness. If they don't accept the forgiveness, well, now you've got a different story. Okay. Basically, those emotional, spiritual waves can keep going and going and going unless we do something else with it. So this is what I mean. What happens, what to do if someone does not accept your offer of forgiving them? Okay. Essentially, that's on them. But now you've got this energy that's built up and it's got to go somewhere. It's got to be transferred. It's got to move. It can't stay. It can't be destroyed. So it's got to go somewhere. So you have to intentionally put it someplace else. Now, if that person accepts that forgiveness and they work on things, this is where you've got the potential of forgive and reconcile. I never espouse forgive and forget. I personally feel that forgive and forget leads to later on destruction, potential scenario of more damage happening. People who have done wrong think, I got away with it, I can do more wrong, or they haven't learned from it, or whatever. So forgive and forget is, but the potential forgive and reconcile can really only happen if the person who did the hurt accepts the forgiveness and works on making healing happen, changing that energy then to healing between the two of them, within themselves individually and together. It's the only way you can really get forgiveness and reconciliation. If the person does not accept the forgiveness, you can't have full reconciliation. It's not possible. So that happened in my case. The person who did me wrong, as far as I could tell, did not want the forgiveness, certainly didn't want reconciliation. 100% did not want to reconcile. So I had to take that energy and I had to transfer it in a different way. How did I do that? This is where it comes to turning it around and forgiving yourself. And I had a lot to forgive myself for. In particular, forgiving my body for the damage it did to me by getting sick, by my immune system going into overdrive instead of finding a healthier way to deal with things. So you turn that in. Now, that may not make sense to you. For a lot of people, that doesn't make sense until you've practiced it. And even though I'm very much Catholic Christian, here's a spiritual story to kind of illustrate it, which I have shared in other places, and I'm going to share it again here. And I'm just going to give a brief summary. If you want the details, go look it up. But it's a story in Buddhism about the Buddhist, and I don't know how far back this goes, quite a while. But the Buddhist is talking to a group of people, and one person in the group is angry and begins to shout insults at the Buddha. And the Buddha just ignores him. And this happens over and over and over again. And finally, they begin a dialogue between the Buddha and this person in front of everybody. And the Buddha asks this person, says, what do you do when you give a gift to someone, but they refuse to accept it? Who owns the gift? The person who's trying to give it, or the person they're trying to make receive it, they're trying to give it to? And the person says, well, I suppose the person who's trying to give it. That's right. So if someone is trying to give you a gift and you refuse to receive it, then that gift still belongs to the other person. That is the same with emotions, spiritually speaking. So if someone tries to give you their anger and you refuse it by forgiving them, then they retain that anger. You've changed the energy of it for yourself. They get to either accept that change in energy or not. So they either accept the forgiveness or they remain in a state of anger. But either way, you don't have to accept that anger. The same goes with love. Okay. You try to give someone love, they refuse it, they don't want it. Turn it back on yourself and give yourself that love and then give it to somebody else who wants it. Okay. If they don't want it, they don't want it. And you cannot make them take it. Too many times we have people that destroy their relationships because they're trying to overgive things such as love to somebody who doesn't want it, or it's not even healthy for them. Okay. Take it back and turn it in or give it to somebody else. And I'm not saying switch partners. Vows are vows in marriage. Okay. But if your partner doesn't want it, turn it inside until they're either ready or, circumstances change. Same thing with forgiveness. Okay. So I attempted very much to forgive this person who hurt me so very deeply. And a lot of you know exactly who I'm talking about, but I'm going to leave the name out and circumstance out on this video. Person did not want my forgiveness, certainly did not want reconciliation, but didn't even want forgiveness. So I took the gift of forgiveness and I turned it around. And by doing that, and it didn't happen quick, it was a process, it was a learning curve. It took a lot of intentionality. It took a lot of self-care, a great deal. It's actually all in the blog and in the book of what I did and the lessons that I learned. But I turned it inward and worked on my own healing and my own learning to manage my own traumas and everything. So that is my talk today on the ripple effect of not only bad things, but good things. And how you can use that how you can use forgiveness, the ripple effect of forgiveness, and the counteracting ripple effect of love and forgiveness to heal yourself, and also to help give opportunities for other people around you to do the same for themselves as well. So you can turn it inward and you can spread it out, and it's all based on your own decisions. So anyway, you can find me at www.humorinchaos at www.humorinchaos.com, or my email humorinchaos@gmail.com. And yeah, you guys have a wonderful day and keep looking for the good in your day. There are lots of reasons to be grateful. Find those reasons. Bye-bye.